Welcome to our little podcast session with Marc Accetta. Thank you for being on the on Wake Up Agent.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure to get to know you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, brother.
Thank you. And for those who don't know, for the past 5 days, actually, I spent 50 hours with Marc, who has been leading us through from morning, sometimes until like 3 a.m. in the night, and a very solid training in a life mastery. And the amount of knowledge that you have shared with us, it was tremendous. It was absolutely amazing and so useful with all the workshops. So first of all, I would like to thank you for being a leader, being a mentor to us, because I think this is something that we can always, all of us, we can take for life.
Yeah, no doubt about it, brother. Well, I love doing what I do. You know, my story is, you know, I was 27 years old and I was just living a very average life. You know, I grew up in a house where wonderful mom and dad, but they didn't know how to make money or be successful. So, you know, I went to college. That seemed like the smartest thing to do, but that didn't really do much for me. You know, I ended up just making enough money to get by. I had no direction. And probably the worst thing that happened was a lot of the crazy dreams I had when I was younger just kind of went away. And I wasn't even 30 yet. And I was just settling, like, okay, I guess this is it. You know, it's not what I thought, but it's not, you know, I had a good attitude. It wasn't terrible. And then I was in a business, you know, I was an entrepreneur and I went to the training, and honestly, I didn't expect much out of the training. I didn't want to go to the training. I couldn't afford the training, but someone pushed me to go, thank God. And at that event, man, they taught me, you know, how to do the business, how to invite, how to present, how to close, all the how-to stuff. But what they taught me that I didn't even understand they were really teaching me at that point was they introduced me to the world of personal development, leadership. I didn't know any of that stuff. I'd never heard of Think and Grow Rich. I'd never heard of how to win friends and influence people. I didn't know how to control my thoughts and emotions. I didn't know about the law of attraction. I didn't know about any of that stuff. So that was my beginning, and I just became a seminar junkie. Like once I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. And if he told me to read a book, I read it in like 3 days. You know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't believe it. And all of a sudden I went from having no dreams and no optimism and nothing. Now all of a sudden I was like, well, I can do anything. You know what I mean?
Purpose.
Yeah. But the big thing he got me to understand is anything is possible. One of the things in the beginning, I would just go to the seminars. I call him my mentor, but really he was on stage. I was in the chair. But I got to see him over and over again. And after a while, I produced enough where he kind of pulled me on the side and said, hey, you know, let me teach you a few things that, you know, one-on-one. And one day we went out and he was very successful. You know, he had like, I don't know, 5 Ferraris and 5 Lamborghinis. And he was really successful, multiple homes and all that stuff. And one day we pulled into a Ferrari dealership. And in my head, I'm like, well, I guess he's going to get another Ferrari. And he goes, which one do you like? And I'm like, oh, wow, they're all amazing. That one's incredible. He told the guy, he goes, we want to drive that one. So we go to test drive. And again, I'm getting out in the way for him. He goes, no, you drive. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, we drove the car and, you know, it was amazing when we came back in. So I'm like, so are you going to get it? And he goes, no. He goes, we came here so you understand, like, you can have one of these. Like anyone, you can have anything you want. They don't care if you're black, white, male, female, what you do for life. If you have money, they'll sell it to you. They'll treat you like a king. You know what I mean? So. But he made me get in the car, smell the car, you know, drive the car. So then it became so real to me, you know what I mean? So he just kind of woke me up and made me realize truly anything was possible. And that's what I try to get people to understand in the seminars, that anything is possible.
To get clarity.
Yeah.
Right? How to achieve it, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, the first step is you got to believe it's possible. Because what I found is if I teach you how to do something, but in your own head, you're like, yeah, but I'll never do that. You know, he had to get me to realize that I can do it. You know, one of the things we talked about at the event is that image that everyone's seen somewhere on social media or the internet of the little kitten that looks into the mirror and sees the reflection of a lion. And what I always say is I was a lion, but when I looked in the mirror, I saw a kitten. You know what I mean? So I just didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was worthy. So he did a great job of going, no, anyone can do it if you do the work. So the first thing was to get that space opened up, and I think that's important for your audience. There's a lot of people who look at you or the top people in your company go, well, yeah, of course they can do it. Look how good they are. They're sharp. They're dynamic. When they talk, it's perfect, you know. But the key is, if you're brand new, to go, yeah, you can do this, because you should have seen him, you know, 12 years ago. He wasn't the same way. I wasn't the same way. Anything is possible if you put the work in. And then it goes to your point. Then you got to do the work, because thoughts determine what we want, but action determines what we get. So yeah, it's all about taking the right actions.
One part of the training that I understood that I don't know enough, it was when you taught us how to listen better.
Oh.
And that is, I just realized how crucial it is to really be a good listener.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the thing is, interesting about it is, everyone, when we start saying we're going to teach you how to listen, they kind of like roll their eyes like, oh, come on. Like, I know how to listen. You know what I mean? Like, and then we start doing a few things, as you know, and people are like, oh. And what really happens, and again, if you're watching this, I'm sure you're rolling your eyes going, come on, I know how to listen. But we really don't. We don't focus on it. You know what I mean? So you know the deal. I mean, it's like,
we shift out. We think about something else. We're not in it.
Yeah, we kind of listen, but we assume what someone's going to say. We start thinking about a thought of what we want to say, you know, so it's hard, believe it or not, really hard. And the crazy thing is, and this is why it's very important for anyone in sales, is the oldest marketing adage on earth is find a need and fill it. So what I tell people, we didn't do it this week, but you'll like this. Imagine when you go to a doctor. Okay, well, when you go to a doctor, the doctor is a doctor doesn't, you don't walk in and he goes, yeah, here's 2 pills, take this. You go, well, aren't you going to examine me, right? Like, don't you want to see what's, and the doctor doesn't go, well, you know, I've got a headache, so I just assume you have a headache. So in sales, we have to examine our client, and we're looking for their pain point. And how can we fix their pain with our product? So we ask questions, and we have to really listen, not kind of listen, really listen, because if we really listen, they'll tell us exactly what their hot button is, exactly what it is, because every person's a little different, right? You know, I mean, some people, it's a price issue. Other people, it's a location issue. Everyone's got something different, and often we have in our head what the best selling point is, so that's what we emphasize, but that's not their best selling point. So if we simply ask them, listen to them, then it almost becomes an unfair game we're playing, where you just turn around and emphasize whatever it is that's the biggest deal for them, and you close the sale. It's crazy, yeah. Right. So, but listening, the good thing is, if you become a great listener, your sales are going to go up. But you know what? Your marriage will be better. You'll be a better parent. Friendships will be better. Everything becomes better, because we interact with people all day, every day, and we're not really listening to them. So I'm telling you, like, I know for a fact, I have 2 adult children, 29, 25, and 2 current 10 and 13-year-olds. And I have a great relationship with all 4 of them. And I would say the number one reason is, whenever they say something, I really listen to what they have to say. Because people know when you're not listening to them. People, the number one complaint marriage counselors get is, my spouse just doesn't listen to me. So whether you heard what they said or not, if people feel like you haven't heard them, it pisses them off. So just simple things like looking directly at people, not looking at your phone, not getting distracted, not looking at something behind them. If someone walks behind them, you know, just as simple as looking someone in the eyes the whole time.
Try forgetting to answer straight with the but after when someone says something.
Oh, yeah.
It's the biggest failure of a sales agent, when they answer with a but.
Oh yeah, 1,000,000%. Well, I'm sure you guys know this, but whenever someone says but, it invalidates everything they say beforehand. So yeah, no, it's a matter of just listening, being nice about it, and then again, just selling them what they just told you they wanted. And, or, you know, it's not always about sales, as I said, but just you can respond properly when you hear what the other person's really saying.
And moving on to excellence in sales, how to become really an excellent salesperson. There is a learning curve that everybody has to go through, right?
Yeah.
You have to be bad in the beginning to be able to appreciate how good you can get. What are those learning stages that you would recommend to a real estate agent or anyone working in sales?
Yeah, it's anyone doing anything. So if you're trying to learn how to speak a language, if you're trying to learn how to play tennis or golf, learning how to be a salesperson, whatever it is, we all go through 4 stages of learning. So the first one is we're unconsciously incompetent. So the best analogy for this is driving a car. So I met your son the other day. He could be in a car, but he's itty-bitty, so he doesn't know how the car works. He's unconsciously incompetent. Even when he becomes 8 or 9, he's still going to sit in the back and just not really know what's going on. Then one day, he'll be old enough to get behind the wheel himself. That's when we go to stage 2, where we become consciously incompetent. So in the beginning, maybe, you don't know. You're hanging out, you've never done real estate before, you've never done anything, so you don't know. Then all of a sudden you start doing it and you become aware that you're not good at it. So that second phase is where almost everyone quits almost everything. One of the main things I teach people is pay attention, get excited, never quit. Because most people quit. 50% of people get married in the world, get divorced. 50% of people go to university, don't graduate. So it's actually, unfortunately, human behavior not to follow through with stuff. So it's important that people understand, if you're right now, a lot of you, I'm sure in stage 2, you're consciously incompetent. The good news is there's a third phase, which is consciously competent. So go back to your son in the car. Now he has to go, okay, put my hands at 10 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, check my mirrors, is my seatbelt on? Like he can drive, but it takes a lot of focused energy. So again, you learn how to do the various things you need to do in your career. You can do them, but at the end of the day, you're exhausted because it took a lot of mental energy to do it the right way. And if you keep doing that long enough, then all of a sudden you go to the 4th and final stage where you're unconsciously competent. So like when we drive a car now, we drive, we're on the phone, we're drinking a coffee, like we're not really even thinking about driving. It's most of our unconscious mind is doing the things necessary. So that's the biggest thing that I got out of this was take heart that if you're in consciously incompetent mode, everyone goes through it. Michael Jordan went through it in basketball, Messi went through it, and Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team. At one point, the great Michael Jordan was consciously incompetent. So if it happened to him, it happens to everybody. So fight through that phase, because when you get to unconsciously competent, it's the greatest thing in the world, no matter what you're doing.
And you also mentioned the key words that follow through your process. When it comes to becoming good and becoming consciously competent or unconsciously competent, how can they also master to become even greater in their sales? Through follow-ups, follow-through.
Yeah, well, I know you know all the statistics on this. So the expression I heard was the fortune is in the follow-up. So most people aren't good at making a decision. They don't like to make immediate decisions. So we're always going to ask a closing question, right? You're going to sit with a client, they're in front of you, you're going to ask a closing question. But statistics are overwhelming that most people who do buy are not going to buy then. So we need to follow up. So, there's different ways of doing it, different systems of doing it, but the key is to follow up. So for me, I just put immediately, like if someone says, okay, I need to think about it for 48 hours, boom. 48 hours, it goes into my day timer or my phone. In my case, I set an alarm, and in 48 hours, I'm gonna follow up. You'd be amazed at how many customers wanna see if you really are gonna follow up. Like, as crazy as that is, like they're going to say, well, let's see how bad this guy wants a sale. So then, you follow up then. And again, they still may not be ready. So you follow up another time and you follow up another time. Some of us call it dripping on someone. You just like the water keeps dripping. Sometimes it takes 7, 8, 9, 10 times, 12 times before someone finally says yes. And again, a lot of people get discouraged. The whole pay attention, get excited, never quit. It's like, so you either follow up until they buy or until they're dead, one or the other. So maybe it takes 14 years. I mean, there are literally examples that I know of people in different walks of sales where they followed up with someone with a big purchase, like with a jet or with a building or, apartment building or whatever, and 12 years later, 14 years later, but they weren't dead yet. So why wouldn't you keep following up with them?
The sales never dies
Yeah.
unless the follow-ups dies.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
And when it comes to the trainings as well, you were focusing not only basically on the financial aspect and the business aspect, but you also included the 4 pillars in the training. So going into a bit more depth in the physical, of the health, also on the spiritual part as well.
Yeah.
I understood at the end, connected the dots, right? As you said as well,
Yeah.
you cannot connect the dots in your future, you can only connect the dots just backwards.
When you look back, yeah.
So these 4 pillars, what was the reason that you created these 4 pillars on this?
Well, first of all, I'd like to tell you I was the genius who thought of it. But I mean, if you study, all I've done ever since I went to that seminar years ago is, as I said, I became obsessed with personal development. And if you understand it all, we're human beings. The good news for me is human beings are a mess. You know what I mean? Like we're imperfect. So I'll always be employed because humans are humans. And what we do the first day at Breakthrough is we really show people, because a lot of people don't know, like we're all born to win, then we're programmed to lose. And it's not like some diabolical plot, but it's by the time most people are 20, 25 years old, they've had so much negativity, they have so much self-doubt and all that stuff. So we just kind of help people reconstruct their lives. And what a lot of people, and I'm sure this is part of your audience, is like they focus on financial. And I get it, it seems like money will fix everything. Like, oh, if I make a lot of money, like, I have a very good friend of mine right now who's got, $1 million in the bank, but he's going through a romantic thing and he's miserable. Doesn't matter how much money. You could have $58 million in the bank, and if you are in love with someone, they don't love you back, that's a problem. So that's our social pillar. We talk about social, and we talk about all these different things, It's like, the people are trying, they want to be married, but they don't even know what they're looking for. I always say, like, could you imagine getting on an airplane and pilot goes, we have no idea where we're going today, but let's have a fun ride. You would. So if you're praying for your soulmate, we'll make a list. What is your soulmate? Make another list. What is your soulmate not? And then the third list is, who do you need to become in order to be worthy of this incredible person that you want? So that's just a little example of the kind of stuff we teach with social. But we also teach physical, because again, if you want to be rich, what's the point of being rich and then you die? Or you're rich and you're so out of shape and sick you can't enjoy anything that you're doing. So we talk about physical, we talk about the social, and then we talk, of course, about spiritual, because to me, that's the foundation of all of it. And I know not everyone agrees with that, and that's okay. But for me and for us in our company, that's the foundation of everything. Like God first. So, ever since I put God first in my life, God was in my life, but he wasn't first in my life. And it's crazy how things line up. So we talk about all of it, and you know what it's like people choose what, some people take it all, like years ago I took it all, but some people go, I like that, I don't like this, I'll do this, I won't do that, and that's okay. Our goal is to help people be better, because again, being a human is awesome, and being a human is difficult, so our goal is to help people get through the difficult days and have less of the difficult days.
And who would it be for life mastery
Oh,
training?
literally everybody, So again, a lot of people come to us because they're in a certain career and they want to make more money. So we 100% cover that, especially in our Unstoppable event. That's all about making money and then what to do with the money when you get it. But our other events talk about that as well. But gosh, we have a lot of people who don't even work who come to our events. They're just stay-at-home moms, and they want to be a great mom, and they just want to have a fulfilling life. Again, anyone who's a human being, anyone who wants to be happier, find more joy in their life, have more purpose in their life, whatever it is they're doing, what we teach are universal success principles. So the same thing that would help you double your income in real estate is the same basic principle that would help a student who's struggling go from a C student to an A student. It's the same basic principle. When I say pay attention, get excited, never quit, that applies to everything. That applies to your marriage. That applies to meaning everything in your life you want to achieve. If you apply those 3 principles, you'll be better at doing it. So we have dozens and dozens of those principles we teach people. So yeah, I mean, it really literally is for everybody.
The amount of knowledge and experience that you share with us, you have been in the business for over 30 years. You have been training for over 15 years. You have been the top performers of four different companies as well. What is the purpose for you? What is the next step that you want to achieve also with the whole organization, that you're giving us so much knowledge? Mm-hmm. You're helping us to get really aligned with our master plan, how to create a master plan and how to align with that. What is your next step? What is your purpose?
It's interesting because I think most people go through their whole life and they never really get their purpose. So I was about my late 30s when I really got my purpose. And my purpose is, if you roll back the tape, in my 20s, as I told you, I was just going through life, not expecting much. I went to a seminar, and that live training changed my life. It opened the door for me. It wasn't one event changed my life, but that one event opened the door. So my purpose, if you will, is to get as many people to attend our events as possible, join our membership as possible if they can only do things online. And let me open the door for you. Let us open the door for you. Like, that's my main purpose, because there's so many people like I used to be. They're a lion, but when they look in the mirror, they see a kitten. So my biggest thing is to get you to see who you really are, number one. My second part of my purpose is to work with dynamic people like you, like my business partners in Life Mastery, like a lot of the people who attend our events on a regular basis, and help them become the next generation of teachers. Because, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm 63, I love what I do, I'm vibrant, I stay healthy, so I'll do it for another 10, 12 years, but at some point I'm going to slow down. So to me, this message just has to keep going forward to as many people as possible. So someday when I'm an old guy, I can look around and look at like the genealogy and go, through all these amazing people I was blessed enough they allowed me to mentor them, I can impact millions and millions of people through other great people like yourself.
You have been speaking in front of millions of people. Let's say if there are people in the audience that they are still thinking, considering if they should become a self-employed and they should start their own business, what can you tell them as inspiration?
Yeah, here's this my mentor said, so what do you really have to lose? So, and again, most entrepreneurial things, like if you're going to sell real estate, if you're going to sell life insurance, if you're going to do network marketing, there's a lot of things you can start part-time. So, I remember going to the circus when I was a kid and seeing a guy in a high wire act and going, oh my God. What I didn't realize, there was a net there. So if the guy fell, he wasn't going to be dead on the concrete, you know what I mean? So if you're a real entrepreneur, meaning you are taking your life savings, putting it up front, buying a building and hiring employees, and you're spending 400,000 euros up front, then you have to quit your job, work full time. And the average business like that doesn't see real money for like 8 or 10 years. Now that is like doing a high wire act with no net underneath you. But if you decide, look, let me try selling, let me see if it works. And if it doesn't work, you hold on to your job. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the earth. Or even if you say, okay, here's the deal. I've got enough money in the bank that I'm going to do this for 1 year. I'm going to try real estate for 1 year full time, but I've got enough money in the bank. If it doesn't work, you always go back. But I'll tell you this, one of the things my mentor encouraged us to do was to find people who are in their 80s, in their 90s, and go talk to them for 2 reasons. Number one, a lot of those people are lonely, but number 2, wow, do they have a lot of wisdom. They've been there, done that. None of their learning is theoretical. It's all based in reality. And he said, ask them all one question. What do you regret the most? Because think about it. If you knew what you would regret the most if you were 88 years old, you'd want to make sure you do it or don't do it. So you fix that. So almost everyone I talk to, they don't regret things that they tried and failed. They regret the things they never tried.
Right?
Yeah. So it's like, how do you know? What if you could be better than him but you never try. What if Michael Jordan never shot a basketball? What if Lionel Messi never kicked a football? So you never know unless you try. And you know, we only get one life, so you know, why not give it a bash?
Wow, tremendous knowledge always. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
And now you're just going up on stage as well. Thank you so much for
well,
sharing your time.
Thanks for buying me a coffee.
Thank you, and then see you very soon again.
Okay.
And thank you for the audience listening.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Marc Accetta.